thing that has been done in a different way. The affordable housing, there's a levy for it. Kenyans are paying for it. If it's SHA, Kenyans are paying for it. If it's Talanta Stadium or anything else, Kenyans, it is either PPP or something else. When you talk about Uhuru Kenyatta, you mentioned SGR, you mentioned a project here, you mentioned the roads here, probably maybe the figures were ballooned, but you mentioned a project somewhere. 3 years down the line, where can we say 3.5 trillion shillings went?
Yes, Fred, I'm a communicator and I believe in being myself and honesty. These are questions when you get the petitions filed by Omtata, for example, and the way they have, combed the papers, you may benefit a lot. But to answer your question, where is the money going? Number one, money is going to people empowerment. You see that every week, these guys, they have said they have about 5 meetings, I think 5 rallies every day, countrywide. They have divided themselves into those who go to Manyata, that's Kisii, those who, he said they don't like to go to his county. But there are those who go to other counties, Taveta, and they are dishing money in these places. They are saying, empowerment program in Kisii, we will take 100 million. Those ones in Taveta will take 200 million. The other place they will take. That is where the money is going. I mean, we can't even ask too much about why we are borrowing 1 trillion, but we cannot reflect it in our infrastructure. When William Ruto took power, he promised that the first thing he will do is to reverse what the Uhuru government was doing, which was borrowing, borrowing, borrowing. Then he borrowed a bit so that he can cover that the deficit, the debt, which in the international market, then we were considered not credit worth, as Mheshimiwa is talking about. So then we came over that chapter because he said now the economy has stabilized. These are the president's own words. Now the economy has stabilized in the sense that, when you talk about economy, Mheshimiwa Bogisho, you are saying that we are removing the ceiling. We are communicating to your viewers. I mean, who creates this ceiling? Why are you creating a ceiling? Why should it not be there? Why should it be there? So in simple terms, what the president was saying, that's what I'm trying to simplify, the debate on this, because finance, by the way, is just like law. It's technical in the sense, how do you define what is stability in the economy? What is GDP? What is the ceiling, borrowing ceilings? So for your people to understand, basically, the point here is, when we received this money, we received it in the first time to do what? To cover the debt deficit, meaning we had borrowed so much we needed to pay again, so we borrowed to pay. That was already concluded. And then the problem now came when we continue to borrow. You go to China today, you go to US, you go to which country, you invite them, they come here, and then everybody is looking at, now we received 500 billion here, we received 2 billion here, we received 6 billion here. Where is it? You are asking that, and the viewers, by the way, you will see what they will comment in media. Simply, the largesse, like Mheshimiwa said, these people live all the way from State House to public servants. And the problem with humanity, what the head is doing, every other part of the body would do. So if they feel that the money that came from China did not go to where it was supposed to go, definitely everybody is copying that. And you can imagine all the way to the clerks, to the counties. That is where we are losing the money. The money is simply being looted. The money is simply going to people's pockets. And it comes in, over there, you do a proposal like it's going to help infrastructure. But once it arrives in the country, you put it in a large, basket and decide who is opposing us, so-and-so. Can we tap him? Who is that? So-and-so. Can you give him this money to facilitate? So the major problem of the powers that be is they want to maintain it without, losing. And they are using a lot of money to do that.
And I think we've lost track of time. We're about 5 minutes to go. So about a minute and a half for your final comments. We start with you, Bwana Odede, probably on this issue of debt.
Yeah. Let me say, it is a good comparison, but not very good when we do comparison between President Kibaki and these other two. Because Kibaki only saw the new constitution for 2 years, I think 2011 and 2012. then 2013, Uhuru came into power. That was a whole new thing because during Kibaki, remember, we only talked about free primary education and we had not gotten into secondary. So definitely there has to be a difference in terms of how finances are utilized. The regime of Uhuru has brought us to capitation for the high school and all those kind of things. That is one. County governments were not there during President Kibaki. We now have county governments where Wakili says the looters are many. Those times, maybe the looters might not have been as many as they are. We have 47 counties with CECs and everybody there, governors and all that. So that, I am just drawing some of the differences that could have been there. But now it is good to compare the regime of Uhuru and the regime of William Ruto, where both of them were ruling under devolution, under the Constitution 2010. And so it is good to ask the question, where are this money going for the past 3 years? Kenyans need to also be reminded that they enjoyed hustler funds of this world. And those hustler funds were just coming from this kind of monies.
Right.
And somehow we have lost a lot of billions on that hustler fund things. One day we discussed it here. And we, again, have those hustler funds. Sometimes the other side of the coalition tells us, borrow those monies, don't pay. And then we are here again asking, where are these monies going? Thank you.
Thank you, Bora Pogisho. Your minute.
Thank you, Fred. We need to ask ourselves, of the three arms of government, where is our weakest link?
Yeah.
What has happened to us? Where should we be pointing our fingers? Because it's become so easy to loot, very easy to show what you have looted. And so what is it that we need to do? Who is our weakest link? Is it Parliament? And is it the judiciary? Of course, the main looters are in the executive. But look at what we've done in the counties. We send money to the counties, and the counties are asking the same question. Our allocation was 7 billion. What is there to show that we got that 7 billion? The same thing we're asking the country. Yeah. So if we have devolved corruption, devolved stealing and looting, let us begin to ask ourselves, where is our weakest link? And let's address that issue.
All right, finally, Wakili.
I think, Fred, our weakest link is us, is the citizens. And there is the biggest challenge is self-discipline, by the way, in life. Self-discipline, self-governance, the way we govern our own emotions, mood, and decisions we make on a daily basis. And this is where the change must begin for us actually to see and worthwhile, positive, development of our country. So I think we should, as a nation, decide by ourselves that we want to be correct and we want to be good. That way, then we push our leaders to be correct and be good, yes.
All right, debt horror, that's the big headline on the front page of the Standard. We borrow about 3.3 billion shillings per day, 2.29 million shillings per minute. Many people have never even comprehended what a million shillings is. A bit of feedback here. Kiprotichemo says Kenya cannot be okay. If the state is looting money, it can never be Singapore or Japan. Makori Urina says President William Ruto is keen on tackling the above issues. The key institutions need to step up, i.e. ESCC, to tackle graft. Then more feedback here, and this one is by who? Frank Francis Okanga. He says high cost of living and debt management has for a long time now not been squarely addressed by President Ruto's administration. I believe if that can be handled, then the continued hardships will be solved. Thank you so much for your feedback, especially as we continue this conversation. Asanteni sana. For those who've been watching us on YouTube, TV47 Kenya, on Facebook, TV47 Kenya as well. And those that are interacting with us on X, TV47 Digital is our handle there. My handle is at Fred Indemuli. Asanteni sana, gentlemen. Mesha Kodede, political analyst. Wakili Ishmael Nyaribo and Samuel Pogisho, who has so many titles, but allow me to read all of them. He has served as Cabinet Minister, ICT Kibaki II administration, as Senate Majority Leader in the 12th Parliament, as Senator of West Pokot, and MP Kacheliba for a very long time. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for your time at TV47. Away from the debt issue, inside State House, police hiring drama. That's the front page of the Daily Nation. And there's this story about the priestess linked to Kwabizaro cult.